Welcome to The Opening Act, a podcast interview show. And now, your host, Brandon Hilder.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Opening Act, a podcast interview show where we interview musicians and more. On today's episode, our special guest is Dan Konopka of the band OK Go. Dan is the drummer for the band and has been a big part of all of their wild and crazy music videos. Now, before we get off into this interview, let's go ahead and listen to a sample of one of their songs. Now, this is The Writings on the Wall. So Dan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Brandon. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, yeah. And before we kind of get off into this, I just wanted to really start off by saying thank you. Like, this is really awesome that you could do this for me, and I feel very honored to have you here, and it's very exciting, and I wanted to say, like, I wrote this whole dorky thing. I don't know, would you call it an epilogue or something? I don't know, but I'm going to say it. So well, I was very fortunate to find the band about 7 or 8 years ago, I think it was. And that was when I was just starting to like play my trumpet and things like that. And the first video I ever watched by you guys was the This Too Shall Pass marching band video. And that just like clicked in my mind. The music can sound cool, be cool, and look cool, just like all of that combined. And I was like, wow, you can really take music, which is just a piece of art, and make it even more crazy. And I just thought that was really cool. So thank you for being here. And yeah, you rock. So just want to let you know, and thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thanks for having me. This is cool. I'm glad you've been a fan for a while and enjoyed some of the. I guess that one isn't like the most popular of them, but it seems to be a lot of people's favorite. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and start at the very beginning. When did you first find your passion and love for music?
I would say around the age of 5, I became aware that my family was a pretty musical family, and my mother knew how to read music, and we had this like big old organ in the house, like a Wurlitzer, like a 2-tier, like proper family organ.
Wow.
And she could read music, and she would play Christmas songs. We'd sit around and sing carols and stuff, like that sort of thing. And my oldest brother, Stanley, he's about 7 years older than I am. And he got into classical music around junior high school. So there was a lot of classical music getting played in the house, and he would play his violin and then onto viola a lot. And he was a really serious musician as a kid.
Wow.
And now is a professional violist for the Cleveland Orchestra.
Oh, wow.
And so my introduction into music was kind of through those two main portals, but at around, I'd say about 8 years old, I started really gravitating to what was happening on the radio and what was happening on MTV. And I really wanted to focus more on that, like pop music and like rock and roll and stuff. And my uncle had an old snare drum, and my dad got me the snare drum for like, a birthday gift or something. And he told me that if I practiced it and I took lessons and I did really well for a year, I'd be able to get a drum set. And so Christmas, around age 9, I got a drum set for Christmas, and that was pretty much the beginning. And I really just like focused on playing drums and learning anything I could from the radio, and I was taking lessons and things like that. But really it was because I just loved what was happening in rock and pop, and so I would just practice what I'd put on records and play along and try to get good that way. Yeah, it's probably a pretty common story, but
even though it might be kind of a common story, that is still so cool. And I mean, I don't really think it's that common, because like just getting to hear somebody that started doing that and has still been doing it, that's just so cool. You don't hear many people get to say that. So yeah, I respect it, and that's really cool, especially with the part talking about how it kind of started in the family. That kind of reminded me of, a lot of musicians have gone it through the family, but it's just cool how like the family can really impact it on people. One of my favorite examples is Billy Joe Armstrong of Green Day. Everybody knows that. But his dad, jazz musician, and that's what inspired him. And like, he's a huge hero of mine. And getting to say other people say that, or getting to see other people say that like their parents or their siblings got to do that to them, that's just so cool. It's like, oh yeah, it's cool to hear that type of stuff. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. It was interesting though. Like my oldest brother Stanley was the violist, and he pursued it professionally like really early on. I was still, in junior high school. My other brother tried and failed, and my younger sister, she tried, and they basically like they just like were into it for all the same reasons I was, but for some reason I could say I was like just so comfortable playing the drums, and like being a part of any sort of musical project to me was like better than anything. It was like I felt very like I felt like it was a calling.
Yeah.
And like it had more legs for me than it did for my other siblings, and we all enjoyed the music in pretty much the same way, but there was something about it that was just really, it just grabbed my everything. Like it was just like a soul kind of grabbing sort of pursuit. And I tell my son, he's 11, I tell him that like, do what you love, and because it'll never feel like work. It'll never be like hard work.
There you go.
It'll just be what you do for, it's like that time spent practicing wasn't painful. It was really fun, and it was hard. Like there's a lot of stuff I couldn't do, and I still can't do. But like drumming technique things that I just have no idea how some people do some of the things that are high level proficiency. But when I was younger, I did it because I just enjoyed it. It was an everyday thing. That's what it was.
Yeah. And oh man, I can't believe you brought that up. But with the like when you do something you love and it's not gonna be work, and that is like the number one thing I live by. And I always tell people that. I'm like, there's so many great sayings you can go by, but that is definitely my favorite one. That's why I'm trying to get into doing all of this as like my profession, because I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun getting to talk to people like you, and I agree with that. You do it and you're never going to hate it. So yeah, that is definitely a good thing to live by.
You would do it for free. You'd do it for free.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I would play drums, and I would have just been drumming, and there wouldn't have been any financial gain to it. And I would have been just fine with that. That would have been okay, because I really love doing it.
And another thing I was I was told by another musician was, and it's okay to do a job that supports your passion. Like,
Yeah.
if playing drums or making podcasts or whatever it is for you is not going to pay the rent. Well, I mean, like right now I work at McDonald's. Yeah, it's not the most amazing thing, but
Yeah.
getting to do it so I can still do this makes it just as good. Yeah. So yeah, it's a great thing to live by. So yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think, or not what, but who was your favorite band as a teenager?
As a teenager, through the lens of a drummer, there's these phases that drummers like naturally sort of go through with music, especially like Midwestern dudes like myself. Like there was that period where it was like the most technical playing was the most interesting, and that like you'd be like, oh man, that guy really can shred. Like I'm gonna be fans of Metallica, or I'll be fans of Rush, or like there was a period when I just like the more notes the better, like,
yeah.
like the more technical the better. And I wouldn't be able to put it like a favorite back in those days, but there's periods when I was like really invested in this certain particular groups. And it kind of changes over your teenage years and stuff. And but I think the main groups that I think kind of lived with me kind of in perpetuity would be, like the Beatles and Led Zeppelin were probably like the mega influence for the love of rock,
Yeah.
There was a period where everything for years where it was just anything I could get that was Led Zeppelin, I would devour. Like I loved the drumming in that, and I loved the songs. I loved everything about it. And then over time, like I think I was able to kind of like refine my taste a little bit more, and I started really loving the Beatles. And so I think in the end, it was like the drumming really mattered to me, but ultimately it was like good songs, like really good songs that had emotional weight to them. I think those are the bands that really carried me through the most.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Music is good at doing that, for sure.
Yeah.
Being able to take those emotions, put them into music, and being able to let you interpret them and take them in whichever direction you need to. Oh yeah, for sure. Those types of songs.
Yeah.
They're special.
I really loved, despite just loving the drumming and all these different bands and records and stuff, I also really loved lyrics. Like I really loved songwriting and the craft and the messaging in a lot of groups. I think by the time I was like later high school, I started getting into Peter Gabriel a lot, and I liked how the lyrics mattered, but the craftsmanship was still really there, and like he had the greatest musicians sort of backing him, and in addition to that, I started getting really into certain producers, not so much the bands themselves anymore, but like the producing system that made those records, with the bands. I became fans of, Daniel Lanois, Flood. I loved, Terry Date, who did like heavy metal stuff. I would follow the producers more than I would follow the bands.
Yeah.
I liked what they were doing,
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
So when OK Go first started, did you think that you guys would still be playing to this day?
No, I don't even know. Like, there's so much that's happened for our band that was so unexpected. Like, almost from day one, it's just been one curveball after the next. A lot of really great things that we never in a million years would have thought was going to be the path that we were going to take.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're still a band and still do stuff creatively together kind of blows my mind. Like, we've outlived a lot of bands that we came up with.
Oh yeah.
And, I think it's kind of an interesting result of that we've had to adapt to different things in the music industry and in culture and stuff. And I think being able to adapt has allowed us to stay relevant, at least in our own minds.
Oh yeah.
That it's worth going back to work. It's worth being like involved in these projects. It doesn't feel stale. It feels like around every corner there's reason to stick to this. And then on top of it, we're really, really good friends. So, we take breaks. We don't hang out with each other, every day, all the time or anything like that. We're all like dads and stuff. But whenever we get to be around each other, it's always really a nice feeling because we're like brothers, like we've done so much together and gone through so many things. Doing projects with each other is feels good. It's a good group of guys.
Yeah. And that kind of ties over into the next segment I kind of wanted to talk about. So
Sure.
When you guys released your debut album, that was OK Go in 2002, like you listen to that whole album and it's different. And, I talk about a lot of music change on this show and I like music change. It's a good thing. But that album is so different from your more recent music. And, I love it. Like the song You're So Dang Hot, that song, it's so, I don't know, it's like, it's kind of dirty. It's fast. It's overall kind of angsty. It's just, I love it. It's great compared to newer stuff. And it is obviously changed. And in what ways do you think the change of the sound has affected the band?
Well, I can speak to this. When we were first coming up and we didn't have a record deal and we were just making the music that we really liked, sort of on our own dime and, without any like heavyweight producer or any big record label behind us, our music actually sort of reflects closer to the more recent stuff we've put out. Like the stuff before that first album, that stuff was really quirky and funny and a bit sort of nerdier and more, just a little bit less on the nose of what was happening on the radio and what was happening, in popular culture. When we had gotten signed, the record label wasn't interested in not necessarily as interested in our personal quirky tastes over selling records. So there was a lot of pressure and a lot of movement to get us to make something that would be competitive on what was on the radio at the time. So it was a difficult record to make because there was a lot of sort of like ironing out of some of the natural choices that we would make while making a record. And so like by the time that record was done, we were happy with it because we liked the way it sounded and the messaging was right. Although we did make sure that the label was happy too, because we wanted to have a career with the record, and we wanted them to support it. If we would have just made whatever we felt like, I'm not too sure we would have gotten the support that we were looking for. And so yeah, it was a record that we believed in at the time, but there's no doubt it had the fingerprints of a lot of A&R people and producers and people that wanted to see a return on their investment. So when we had finished that record, and we did all the touring that we did to support it. When it was time to make the second record, oh no, we hightailed it out of Los Angeles and found a producer in Sweden, as far away from LA and the producers and record folk that we could find. And we went out there and we made a record that I think reflected who we were as musicians in a more authentic way. You know, it wasn't art by committee, so to speak. You know, we were making a record as a 4-piece band with one producer who was like, let's make something that's authentic to you guys. And so that the shift really happened. That to make that first record, that was the oddball album out of all the ones that we've done. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. Yeah. So then if that was the oddball one, which record would you say is the most you? The most OK Go it can get?
Well, you know, it's funny that, you know, we've been around for so long, like whatever the most recent one is the most OK Go of them all. But which is actually, I think, fair to say, because we're working on new music now. Woo-hoo. And that actually, the new record that we're working on feels like who we are. You know, it feels like it reflects what everybody's been interested in and the type of songwriting that, you know, Tim and Damien, they're the main songwriters in the band, and their songwriting has matured, and their taste in and, you know, the sort of influences they're going to draw from have matured in ways that, like, I wasn't even expecting. You know, like Damien and Tim have gotten like a lot more Motown for an influence. Whoa. And a different type of sort of song structures and things like that. Like, you know, a lot less distorted guitars and a lot more horns.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, a lot more like funk and like not so much jazz, but just a different kind of angle. And I can't wait for people to hear the new stuff, because I think it's our strongest material ever.
I'm excited.
It's going to be great. It's really cool, because I think also we are even less influenced by what's happening on the radio. You know, like, who's the big thing? Like Taylor Swift right now, like the queen of pop. Like, we're not taking any cues from her. It's completely about what inspires us and what feels fresh to us right now, and that feels pretty good. You know, it's like we're not listening to top 10 artists on the radio to help us, you know, try to be current and relevant and successful in it, because we're not even that interested in that. We just want to make the type of records that reflect us the best, and ultimately that was the winning recipe for our videos. You know, it was like when we decided to make the type of things that we wanted to make, they seemed to be more successful.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Man, talking about a new record thing, that's got me excited. I got something to look forward to now. Now the real question is, how long do I have to wait? No.
That's a good question. Well, it's got to get done. It's not totally done yet, but I'm thinking like it's maybe possible you'll be able to hear a new song before the end of the year.
Dang. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that means you guys are going to be getting recording pretty soon. That's pretty awesome. Wow.
Oh yeah, a lot of the recordings already happened. So
really?
It's really about planning and making sure that
so it's just a matter of time now.
That things are done in a certain order, and again, you know, we're all like dads, and you know, we got to make sure that our families, you know, I don't think we'll ever go on a 9-month tour again, but we'll play shows, and that'll probably happen sometime next year. And but yeah, new music is coming.
Yeah. Come play some shows in Montana, though, for sure.
Sure.
I'd buy a ticket.
For sure, yeah. Well, you won't have to now.
Hey, there we go. I don't know. You got to come out here so I can meet you.
Yeah, totally.
Oh,
what would
boy.
be the city? Where would we go?
Ooh, you could go to either Bozeman, Missoula, or Helena. Those are the big ones.
Okay.
Just search up big cities in Montana. And those will be the top 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll definitely hit that region at some point.
Please.
Hopefully next year.
Oh yeah. Heck, if you decide to do a show like 4 hours away, I'd still drive to come see you.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of talking about performing a little bit. What song is the best to perform live?
For an OK Go show?
Yeah, for an OK Go show.
Me personally?
So let's say what song gets like the best reaction from the crowd? We'll go with that first.
Gosh, that's a good question.
I know, it's a hard one too.
It seems like Here It Goes Again always gets people really excited because it's such an iconic video.
Oh, yeah.
And it was really the one. I think it was the one that for a lot of people put us on the map.
Yeah.
So when that song happens, I think it's kind of an undeniably, it's like everyone recognizes it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so I think that one gets a really good response. And then we have some fans that like really dig into the records and like, some of the more like album tracks that may not have had videos made, and those sometimes get a really good response.
That's how I am with most bands.
Yeah. Me too. Like when you hear the song that like wasn't the single, you kind of feel excited because you feel special.
You feel like you're in on a secret. You're like, oh wow,
yeah.
Everybody's missing out on this song just because it doesn't have a music video. But here I am getting to be able to listen to it and have just as much fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
There was a song off the third record called Skyscrapers.
I love that song. Yes.
And that song, like when we made that song, we didn't have the singles in mind for it, but I remember when we made that song, it felt really authentic and really, it just felt like just real to us. And so when we play that live, we kind of designed it so we could improv within it, and like, so let the song form kind of be different, whatever it needed to be any given night. So those songs, when we play them, I think people are surprised because we don't follow the exact formula that is on the record. We extend sections, and I think people are, if they know the song, they're kind of psyched because we take liberties with different parts of it. And that's cool.
Yeah, that is up there in my favorite songs, though. Up there with Shooting the Moon, End Love, and a few other ones like that. Those are some of my favorite ones in that category. So yeah, that's cool.
Cool. That's cool.
So now, what song is your favorite to perform live?
Over the years, there was a song I really loved playing, Obsession, which was on the last record. That's a really fun song to play. It's kind of a hybrid, like electronic and acoustic drum kind of song where I'm able to kind of like dig in a little bit and like push, like we just, spoiler alert, most bands played a backing track. It's like very common. And so with our records, there's a lot of musical information that we just don't have the hands to play. And like, there's backing track to our songs, but we play in addition to that. So when the backing track is playing a drum beat, I play a drum beat, but that allows me to sort of stretch out and play something different that complements the beat. And that song is a really fun one. There's a lot of space in that song, and the groove is like one of my favorites. So Obsession, and then of course Skyscrapers, like I was saying, because whenever we launch off into that song, I'm not even sure how it's gonna be. Like when we start that tune, we're like, is this gonna be the 3-minute version or the 8-minute version? We don't know, you know.
I love that. It's kind of like when Death Cab for Cutie, they play I Will Possess Your Heart. That song can either be 3 minutes or it can be like 15.
Yeah.
They just really ride that bass line.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great song. And
that's good.
Those are the type of songs that like make the tours worth it. You know, you're like, oh, it's like this moment of sort of adventure, and like, you know, you're with your best buddies, and you're playing something that you know, but you're also going to allow each other to sort of like venture off into some musical idea that might take a little longer than the record version.
Yeah, that's cool. And it sounds like all the blues bands and stuff and all of the jazz and bluegrass, that's exactly what they do. And I admire those types of bands so much because it's all experimental. And when experimental bluegrass, jazz, rock, and mix with rock and kind of make that weird warped baby of cool experimental rock music and rocky poppy music, I'm all for that, and I love that type of stuff. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's great fun. It's great.
Yes,
fun.
It is. So now let's talk a little bit about the Muppets.
Okay.
So back was it like 2011 when the Muppets movie was just getting ready to come out. They put together the Green Album, which had a whole bunch of bands perform a whole bunch of songs, and you guys did the Muppets theme song, like the Muppets show theme song, I should say. What experiences can you tell me from recording that?
Well, let's see. The recording of the song. Well, first of all, we're all big Muppet fans. Like, we grew up watching that show on TV, and
That's awesome.
Like it was always like a real occasion. Like, I think even before any of us knew each other, I think we were all big Muppet fans, and there was they were such famous, iconic characters, and like the different movies that we grew up on, like we just loved it, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
the theme song was kind of like already like embedded into our minds as being like, wow, that's cool, you know? And so we recorded that ourselves, and we sent it off to the producer we started working with a little later in our careers, and he mixed it. And it was just like one of those things where we kind of looked at that really great song through this, like, you know, OK Go lens, which is, you know, angular and funky and weird and glitchy and nervous and chaotic. And we just kind of went at it with that spirit in mind. And it really produced itself. Like, it wasn't like we were all really quite sure that we wanted it to feel like an OK Go song. And then we handed it over to Dave Fridman, and he was able to mix it in a way that really captured that spirit. And I think I don't remember exactly the story with how the Muppets and us got together, but when they heard the song, they really liked it. And so they decided that they wanted to make a music video with us and the Muppets, which was probably one of the cooler things that we've ever done in our career.
I know, that is so cool.
Working with the Muppets was awesome. I mean, as you can probably tell, a lot of our music videos look, like homemade, so to speak. You know, like we do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like with found items and like stuff. We purposefully want to make people feel like that if they had the time, they could do this themselves. You know,
that's what I love about your videos too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you had enough time and you were with your most fun and creative friends that you could make an OK Go video. It would just take time.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's more to it than that, obviously. But when we did the video with the Muppets, it was way Hollywood and really well budgeted. And like there was catering, and there was like we had like trailers where you had like a dressing room and stuff like that, and like Miss Piggy had a dressing room, and like things that were very like Hollywood.
That's
and
awesome.
it was really fun because it's like there was like a day sheet. Like you get to the shoot and there'd be like, oh, this is what's going to happen at 11 and at 2 and at 5, and we're all going to get cut loose at 7. Oh my gosh, like that makes sense. And like normal OK Go videos, you don't know if you're going to get home at midnight or if you're going to get home at 6 in the morning the next day or what. So like this was very cushy, and everybody's so professional, and the people that were the Muppet handlers, all those people were really fun and funny, and the talent themselves were it's just like high class experience. And nobody cried on the Muppet set. Typically somebody ends up crying on an OK Go set.
I know when you said that, I was like, wait a second. It's like, oh yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that most of your videos are in one shot. No.
Somebody throws up, somebody's crying, or somebody's beyond exhausted. Like any one of those really scary things that shouldn't happen, it happens. And the Muppet was like very nice, like
almost chillaxed.
It's easy street.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, and that kind of goes into like the next thing. So, like your music videos, obviously they're a little bit different than some bands' music videos. They're a little bit different than the band playing their song in a room and it being filmed from different angles type deal. Like,
oh yeah,
even the older ones are different than that. Like the Get Over It video is still way different than that. Like everything, all of your videos are so unique and so amazing. Why do you think it's important to be different in that sense?
Well, I mean, it's important to I think it was important for us really ultimately to be really authentic. And I don't think that we were like just happy, or like I don't think we were happy just making what was the standard. I mean, we also tried it. I mean, like we tried to make things that were like typical rock videos, and they weren't any more successful. Like they didn't give us the results we were looking for. And when we would get together and the ideas would start coming about basically the artwork we wanted to make, all of us had an appetite for something more interesting. And like everything from like the simplest parts of it, like for a while there, the lead singer is Damien, and Tim is the bass player. He does a lot of vocals too. But like early on, we were kind of like, well, who cares who's the lead singer? And so like Tim ended up being like doing a lot of like the lead singer lip syncing in the videos, and we just thought that was interesting. It was just like it's like you're like, well, clearly Damien's a great looking guy, but like Tim has got so much character. Like, why not make him the lead singer? And so we were just kind of, we just did what we felt was cool. And, by the time, we were more well known for our music videos as being, the kind of like the one of the more main features why people enjoyed us. We just kind of felt that it was important for us to keep ourselves interested and keep moving the goalposts a little bit. And I always felt like when the four of us in the room were most excited about the idea, those videos would turn out the best. Like it was what really lit us up as being exciting, ended up being the things that were most successful. And, everybody has a role. Once that idea goes down, like I'm not the math guy. I don't do like the math part of the 1 moment video. But,
oh, gosh.
When it comes to like, who's the first guy that's going to be like happy to get paint poured all over his head? Like I'll raise my hand, like I'm excited to support whatever this creative movement, what makes us have the best chance of being really entertaining. And so it's a tough question to answer, but ultimately, we trust each other and we just want to make something that makes us all feel like, wow, okay, that was cool. That's a cool idea. Let's do that. It's simple as that.
Yeah.
Whatever keeps us excited.
Yeah. You talking about getting paint poured on your head, that like instantly brings me back to like with the pink paint. And I believe that was the Writings on the Wall video, if I'm not mistaken. That's like, right. That is one of the most, like in my mind, one of the most iconic parts about that video. Cause it's like, wow, he just got a whole bucket of freaking paint poured on his head. Oh yeah. I love that part.
Oh yeah.
I know when I was told I was going to get to talk to you, I was like, dang, I get to talk to the guy that got paint on his head. That's so dang cool. I was like, yeah, telling all my teachers, and they were like, I was like, it's this guy. And they're like, who? I was like, oh yeah. The guy from the treadmill video. They're like, oh, that guy. I was like, yeah, that guy. Yeah. Like, yeah. It was so dang cool.
Oh, that's cool.
And that kind of links back into that video. And as you were kind of saying earlier, that was kind of the start of a lot of people knowing who you were, because that was one of the first viral YouTube videos back when YouTube just got started, and it blew up. It just did. And you guys won a Grammy from it. That's kind of wild, but yeah, like, dang. Like, you look into that video, and the wild thing is kind of the simplicity of the idea. It's like all you're doing is doing a crazy choreography on some treadmills, and just you put those things together, and it made such an amazing, interesting thing that wasn't really thought of yet. And it's really respectable. It's really cool. And I guess I can ask this: what was it like when you actually got nominated and won that prize?
Well, I will say, like, I think I can only speak for myself, but like at the time we were on the road, and we were pretty exhausted, and we had almost done almost a whole year of touring, and a break was coming up, and the lead singer, Damien's sister, helped us with that video, and she was like, I had this vision of you guys doing a choreographed retreat on treadmills, and I was like, really, do I want to spend my 8 days off a tour and go down to Orlando and do this thing? Like, I'd much rather just like sit at home in front of the TV. But it was like, again, it was one of those things where like we trust each other. We knew that if we followed this through to the best possible conclusion, we were going to get something that we were going to think is cool. End of story. The thing that we never could have imagined was the fact that YouTube had just gotten started, that this thing was going to get uploaded, and then it was going to get 12 million views in 6 weeks or whatever it was.
Yeah, it blew up.
And all this is a mega surprise. We knew that something was really special when MTV asked us to do that routine on the VMAs, which was their award show that happens once a year. And that was scary, right? So we had to do it on live TV. So it really was important that we practiced it really well, and that that nobody killed themselves on MTV, right?
Yeah.
So we did that performance, and we were at the Radio City Music Hall, and it was filled with all these A-list people that we were never in the club with. And then when that was over, it was like, all right, Snoop Dogg knew who we were, Justin Timberlake knew who we were, Beyonce was like, she was like aware, like, who are these guys, And and so that was just like a weird alien experience. And then shortly after that, the nomination for Best Video came up, and we were just like, oh my gosh, this is too good to be true. Like, what is this world we just entered? And it's funny at the time, I think it's still this way, but Best Video is the award is given on the pre-show of the Grammys. So there's the Grammys that all of us can watch on TV, and there's like hundreds of awards that are given out earlier in the day, like technical awards and things like that. And Best Video was given out at that time in the day, like was not televised.
Yeah, that's still
and
cool.
we were on our way to the Grammy thing, and I think we were running a little late or something. And so we like get in there, and they got to check your credentials and stuff, and you hand over your tickets and stuff like that. And when we finally got to our chairs, like literally sat down for 10 seconds, and we heard our name, and we won. So it was like, we walked in the building, and they handed us a Grammy. And it was like, it was really weird. It was like, what is going on here? Like, it was like we walked in, we sat down, the Grammy goes to okay, go, like literally in that timing. And so from that point on, the rest of the day was just bonkers, like a lot of interviews and things like that. And yeah, it was wild. It was a wild time.
I bet you signed a lot of autographs that day.
Well, it was weird. It was probably one of the first times that we ever felt the sting of what a true press junket is.
Yeah.
It's like, all these different publications and magazines and things like that, all asking you the same kind of question. And and so you really have to sort of like buckle up and prepare yourself for like 4.5 hours of answering the same like board questions.
Yeah, I bet.
It's a good problem to have. I'll just put it that way. It's nice.
Yeah. At least you're being recognized, right? Like,
yeah,
you could be asked one really good question, or you could be asked the same question 1,000 times by 1,000 different people, and that's like, wow, 1,000 different people want to know
that's
more
right.
about me. That's cool.
Exactly. You hit it right on the head. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Now, let's continue talking about more of those awesome videos. So, now I'm going to ask about the ones that just kind of make me like scratch my head, like, how? So, for the video White Knuckles, you guys had, and this is for anybody who's not seen this video, please go watch it because it's great. But you guys did a whole bunch of tricks, like continuous tricks with dogs. And oh my goodness, it looks complicated. How many attempts did this take? Like around the number if you don't remember it.
I think the take that you see, I think it's either 72 or 74th attempt. I think it took, I honestly, I think that was like one of the first times we actually completed and successfully nailed a routine. So yeah, like it took many days of trying.
I bet.
And failing to get it right.
Oh yeah.
And then after we got it right, we still had time in the studio that we were in, so we kept going. We were hoping maybe we could get another one that was like even better. We knew we had it in the can. We knew we had one that was good. And then I think we had like maybe one other one that was like passable, but I think it was the 72nd take attempt.
Wow!
And those dogs were incredible. I mean, they were it's at times more on point than we were, because there was so much to remember, and they were just so talented.
Oh yeah.
And they just natural performers, and we were just awkward weirdos trying to make things go. And the dogs, they're the ones with the very sweet, good personalities.
Oh yeah. That video is just so cool, because it's like training a dog ain't the easiest thing in the world. So getting to see all these dogs know their routine like that is just, it's wild. I honestly, I wouldn't want to be the person who trained them to do that, because that would have taken a lot longer than I'd wanted it to. But now, out of all the tricks in that video, which one was your favorite?
For the dog one?
Yeah.
My favorite trick? Oh, I think my favorite one is, there's a moment, I think it's the break right before the last chorus, I think. There's like I don't know if it's a golden retriever or something, but it runs up to Tim and they do a high five.
Yes.
Like I whenever I see that, I was like, I didn't even remember that actually happening. I could think it was doing something else, but like if I was there and like paying attention to that, I think I would have been like so psyched, because when it finally was over, I was like, did he really high five you in time? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, how sick is that? Like, that is so great. I just love that actually happened. Like a proper dog high five, like right on the beat when it's supposed to happen. So cool.
I don't even know how you do that. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. Now, speaking of not knowing how you do this, let's talk about needing and getting. Now, that was technically not the first, but really the second music video of you guys that I really watched and like fell in love with, because the first one was the This Too Shall Pass, the marching band version, but this one, I was just like, wow, because you're lining up like 1,000 different objects that all make a different sound to make the song. Like, how did you even do that? Like, And how long did the math take for that? That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, that was a video that was sponsored by Chevy.
Yeah.
So you kind of easily put it together that there was a budget. So with a decent budget, we were able to sort of expand our scope of production to pretty intense level. I don't know how many people were involved with that video, but it was the type of thing that took, multiple weeks to get set up out there in the desert. And, we did our research and development, our R&D for the video beforehand, like which instruments are going to make what sound, and all of that took a long time with Damien and a few other producers, and they got the stuff together, and then they set it all out there in the desert and made like a schematic of where the car could drive, and made the track that this thing was going to live on. And it's just a big goofy project that we had the means to actually pull off. So like, I think Damien tells the story that there was an assistant producer type, a guy, like all his job was to do is like, all right, we want you to drive up and down the coast of California and go to every single Goodwill and resale store that you can find, and we're looking for pianos, and like we're looking for 60 pianos. Can you just like take a U-Haul truck and go? and that was their job. It was like, oh my gosh, there's some dude driving around in a U-Haul truck just buying any piano they can have, because we use them all. And
that's awesome.
I mean, that's just insane and weird. But that, those types of things, like, I mean, you can be involved, like as a band member, I was like involved in what I could be, but like when you have a real production company behind it, a lot more can get done, and there's so many more people involved, and it really comes together by the end. But yeah, so like there's just I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like this thing that gets set up, and I just kind of like fall into whatever role I need to be in to support the camaraderie and the vibe, the good vibe of the shoot, and just try not to get killed, and
Yeah.
that's my attitude.
Dang. That is so
Try
cool.
not to die.
Yeah. And I know my favorite part about that video is with all the electric guitars, like, oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That video is wild.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if I could ever have the patience to set something like that up. Oh man, you guys must hire some pretty patient people.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that we hire different production companies to help us with these things, and it's always funny to me. They come in real like wide-eyed and excited, but by the end they're so stressed out because like there's always an element to our videos where everybody on set is unsure if it's actually going to work.
Yeah.
There's like, it's not like the Muppets video where it's like, okay, we know we'll be done by, Sunday morning. Like we don't know Saturday night if we've actually accomplished the main goal of the video idea. And that can really stress people out.
Like in the This Too Shall Pass video. That was a freaking how do you say the word?
Rube Goldberg.
Goldberg machine. Yes, man, my brain crashing right there. But yes, like somebody steps too hard. Oh, geez. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a really, really good example of what I'm talking about. Like, when like if there's the very first scene is a bunch of dominoes, and if the dominoes don't work, it's like it can be really nerve-wracking. It was really nerve-wracking. By the time when it actually accomplished it, like when the chain reaction went fully through the whole system, it felt so good because there was hundreds and hundreds of attempts that just didn't even get past the dominoes. You're like, oh my gosh, is this thing ever going to work?
Wow.
When it did, it was such a glorious feeling. It was amazing.
Cool video. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it ends with us all getting like slapped in the face with like 2 cups of paint. It was like weird and anticlimactic, but also like it was like a shot. Like it was like, oh my god, like it was like the worst, best feeling when that happened, because you're like you finally got through it, and you got covered in more paint.
The victory paint.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. So now, Ed, this video, I know this is I want to say my brother's favorite video, the Upside Down and Inside Out, that was filmed on a plane going in and out of zero gravity. What was the most fun part about that video?
The most fun?
Oh yeah, because that one looks a lot more fun than some of the other ones would have been.
Well, it's funny you should say that. That video wasn't very much fun. It was really grueling, to be honest. It was. We did. I don't know how many flights. We did 2 flights a day for like a month, and the sort of cumulative effect of going in and out of, and it's not just zero gravity that you're experiencing. You go through microgravity, which can be zero gravity, but you also go through a period of like double or triple gravity. So like,
oh geez,
in between the parabolas that the plane goes through, the top part of the parabola is the weightlessness part, like the arc over the top of the maneuver is where you get that weightlessness, and then the plane has to correct and go back up to altitude where you can do the Bravo again. Well, that whole correction and then back up, that's double gravity. So like imagine going like feeling light as a feather and jumping around and having fun for a minute later being squashed, like being sat on by like an elephant. It's just like, it was really, really hard.
So that's why you guys sat in the chairs. Okay.
What's that?
So that's why you guys sat in the chairs like during that. Okay.
Yeah. That's exactly, that's right. And the, at double gravity, if you're not holding on to something really tightly, you fall down because it's like double the weight on your legs. And over time, that I think there was one moment where Damien was passed out because it's like all the blood in your head goes to your feet, and it's pretty uncomfortable. But the very first couple times that we were in the plane and we did it, like just being in microgravity is kind of awesome and fun, and you kind of learn the rules after a few times of how do you actually move in zero gravity? You can't, it's not like a swimming thing. Like air doesn't respond the way water does. So like you could paddle like a dog as much as you want. You're not going anywhere. You got to really sort of like lean into like solid objects that are stationary, and you can push around and things like that. There's a learning curve. And then also we had some medication that we came prepared with that helped with motion sickness. Man. So I never got sick. I don't think any of the band guys ever got sick, but a lot of the crew did. Like throwing up in zero gravity is harrowing experience. No. I'll tell you that.
Gross. Oh man, the video, like it looks so much painless than the other ones, but in reality, it's like some of them, like you can see that it's taken a while, but that one, like it looks like you're having fun in that one.
Yeah. I always make the joke. I make the joke, and I think it's pretty true. I think different guys have different opinions, but I feel like there's a ratio between how painful our music videos are to how successful they are. Like the more painful, the more well received our videos tend to be.
That's terrible.
If you really are in agony, if you're in agony while you're doing it, you're gonna get some views for sure.
You're making me feel bad, like while I watch them now. Now, like after talking to you, whenever I watch a video, I'm gonna be like, "Wow, there was some poor dude throwing up in the back of the plane while they were shooting that shot." While they were shooting that shot. Dang. Oh, that's funny. So with the video End Love, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, I'm just really curious because I wasn't able to find any information on it, but how was that video shot and how long did it take?
That video took, I think for one whole song's worth of video on that one, that took I think it was 24 hours.
Okay.
And so we used cameras that had, really high shutter speeds and really like these really high tech cameras that you could get. You could shoot something like that and manipulate the speed of the shot, so you could compress time and things like that and expand time.
Yeah.
And I think we started it sort of like the middle of the afternoon one day and went through the evening and overnight, and then by the end of lunchtime the next day we had wrapped. So we did it twice. You can't do it just once. You got to do it twice. So we did 2 consecutive nights out there in Echo Park.
With that video, was that a continuative? That's not the word, but like a consecutive shot type deal, or was that like broken up, or how did that video work? Like, was it all in one take, or no?
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah,
wow.
I mean,
so you guys were moving that slow for that long? Oh, oh.
Yeah. We, you know, in the shots where we sort of like the overnight shot when we fall asleep in the park. If somebody had to get up, there was enough time between frames that you could leave the set and go use the bathroom, and you could edit. You wouldn't see that the person had left. Okay. So you could steal away to go use the bathroom. But it was all hands on deck for 24 hours. Like we were all engaged and all working on it. On camera,
painful
for the whole time.
Aye.
Yeah, and even the people that were helping with the production, like those people were allowed to go home and go get sleep. And we would be on set for the whole night. And like we had, we slept in sleeping bags. We had like a security guy there to sort of watch over us, so nobody messed with us overnight. But there's a period in there where we did get to sleep a little bit.
Yeah. Wow. That's wild. And then you got the part in the end with all the people in the park doing the dance. I like that part. The part's cool. It's like the little toddler that like separates from its parents for like half a second, and it's like very noticeable. Then the mom like grabs it. I love that part. That part's funny. Yeah. I love that video. It's also a really good song though. I know.
Yeah,
we've just been talking about it is. We've just been talking about the videos for so long, and I feel like this is something that, like, I hate to say it, but I feel like some people, like, I'm referring to people I know, and specifically one of my friends, when I told him I was going to talk to you, he's like, oh, wow, yeah, they're the guys with the cool videos. I was like, yeah, and the cool music, too. You can't forget the music. And that's why you guys are special to me. It's not just the videos, but I can sit down with my headphones, do my homework, and listen to your music, and it's just as enjoyable for me. It's like, not only are you producing like top-notch, crazy cool videos, but your music slaps. Like, it really does.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah. Some people, I've heard that sentiment online. They're like, oh gosh, I wish their music didn't suck. Their videos are so great. I wish their music didn't suck. But when we make our music, we don't have videos in mind, and we're making stuff that feels authentic to us. And so, I think it's easy for people to have that knee-jerk reaction to think that the music is subpar. I think even if we had released Purple Rain, the song, people would say, oh gosh, too bad their song sucks. Like this is kind of, I think that's what comes when you have that kind of, that sort of polarity, like, if we put out Let It Be, people are like, oh, the song sucks, video's cool.
Oh boy.
That's just what comes.
Oh man, now I'm just like trying to imagine like the Beatles doing music videos like that, and the world of music would be totally changed.
Yeah.
So now for the last couple questions. So in total, what has been the most difficult video to shoot? Like putting everything together, what was the most difficult video?
The most difficult video was, for me, hands down, Upside Down and Inside Out.
Okay.
It was the hardest because it was physically the most demanding of them all, I think. And then also we shot that in Russia, 8 years ago now. And so we were really far away from family. And the food selection that was offered to us was like really subpar.
That was in Russia?
Uh-huh.
Dang.
Yeah. We shot that on a cosmonaut training facility.
Oh gosh.
And I think it was pretty wintry. It was winter, and so it was like just so cold. And you would, we would work. We'd get there at the Air Force Base and like get going. And we would do these 2 flights in a row, and by the end of each flight, we'd be soaked. And it was like we really didn't know if we were going to get it. We didn't know if we were going to get that shot. We were going to get the hero take. And it was just, it had so much going against us, physically, emotionally, just, everything about it was just really hard. But I think that's my favorite video. That's the one I'm really most proud of, because not many people out there can say that they've done that sort of activity in their life,
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. It was cool to meet all those people. Like the production people were all Russian, so you really couldn't talk to anybody but like pretty much just the people we knew in the band, and a couple other people knew English. And so we just had to hunker down and knock it out. And I think it came out great. It's definitely my favorite, but certainly the hardest one.
Dang. Wow. Okay. 2, or I guess technically 3 last questions and we're done. So,
sure.
What is, and you can answer this one of 2 ways. Please share like your most memorable tour memory that you feel comfortable sharing, whether that's like the favorite thing or the worst thing.
From tour?
From tour. So now we're kind of going back into music, live music.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Huh.
Yeah. Most memorable, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I've gotten some wild answers too, so I'm ready.
Okay. I think the one I just told this story, somebody asked me a similar question. I don't know if it was worst or best, but give us a crazy story from tour. There was one show we played. I don't remember what year it was, but we were playing a radio show. And so whatever hard rock or whatever rock radio station in your town, they'll have their weenie roast, they're like, the K105 super party concert experience. And there's 12 bands on the bill, and we were playing, and Nickelback was headlining. Okay. Nickelback was headliner. I think we went on at noon or something, and Nickelback was the final act. We did our show and it was fine. It was good. And then we were cut loose to sort of walk around and watch the other bands or do whatever. And it was time for Nickelback to go on stage. And I remember the stage that we played on the big main stage. It was, X amount of feet wide. And I knew that if I walked up one part of it, that I would end up being on side stage. So I was I'm going to go watch Nickelback from side stage. What I didn't realize was that Nickelback stage was 4 times as wide as our stage, right? So our stage was a little chunk in the middle. Nickelback was the whole deck. It was huge, massive. So I go walking up to what I think is the side of the stage, but it's actually the center of the Nickelback stage. Okay? So it's really near, closer to the middle of the stage. And I'm walking, and I'm just just I'm going to go check out Nickelback. It's loud, and there's, it's dark, and all sorts of pyrotechnics and stuff. And I go out there, and I'm looking around, and I'm I could see, the band members kind of splayed around me. And I'm looking around, and then all of a sudden I see these these spinning fire engine lights right next to me. And I'm okay, something's happening. And I look up, and 2 huge crew guys tackle me. they tackled me to the ground, like
Oh, no.
brutally, like shocked. And moments later, huge towers of fire go like right where I was standing.
Oh gosh.
I'd walked in between like a whole pyrotechnic system. These dudes saved my life. I was like, oh my God. And they like dragged me out and they're like, they're like, get out of here. You're like, a lot of words were traded about how stupid I was in much more colorful language. But I'll never forget that. Like, I almost got roasted like a hot dog on a Nickelback concert.
Oh my goodness.
Is that good? Is that one of my favorite memories? My worst memory? All I know is that was a pretty crazy experience.
Oh my goodness. Okay, go almost had to get a new drummer. Oh.
Yeah, I was almost
Oh boy.
a goner.
Okay. Oh, okay. So after that, last two. Now,
Sure.
These are kind of signature ones. I try to ask them every interview. They're really weird and really funny, but they're staples. So, if you had to be any type of fruit, what type of fruit would you be?
A fruit?
A fruit, yes.
Oh, good question. There's so many different angles I could think about those. Like, just based on beauty,
I've heard
or something that was like really edible.
Yeah, I've heard people go on like.
Know.
I've heard people say like, well, do I want to be a fruit that protects myself, a fruit that gets eaten, a fruit that's blah 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 blah? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a toss up between a dragon fruit. I like those things because they're pretty, or a jackfruit because those things are massive and you can feed thousands of people.
Okay.
You could feed like 50 people with one jackfruit.
Yeah. Okay. Jackfruit. It is. I like it.
Yeah,
that is a new one.
Jack.
I like it. Now, finally. So this question comes from my favorite TV show, which is Chuck. Now, if you were stranded on a deserted island and could have one type of sandwich with you, what kind of sandwich would it be?
A sandwich? Okay. It would be a toss up between a really well made BLT, with like really good bacon, really fresh tomatoes, like really a nicely done BLT. No avocado. I'm not into the California BLT. Or a Philly cheesesteak sandwich.
There you go. Those are both salt sandwiches. I like it. Well, Dan, thank you so much for sitting here and talking with me. That was a lot of fun. And I guess before we go, if you have anything you want to say, any questions you want to ask me, or anything you want to shout out about the band, now is your time to do it.
Oh, man, not too much. And whoever's listening, follow your dreams. Don't listen to people that say you can't do stuff.
There you go.
You would be fearless. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time.
Yeah. There you go. Make the most out of it. And
yeah.
Maybe just don't do the zero gravity part, but in Russia. But
yeah. Well, don't go waltzing up on stage at a Nickelback show. That's my.
Oh boy, yeah, maybe don't do that one either. But other than that, yeah. Oh man, well,
Brandon, thank you so much for having me. I had a really nice time with you.
Thank you so much for doing that with me, and
sure.
I really appreciate it. It was a blast talking to you. It was really funny, and I really appreciated it. So, with that,
right.
Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Awesome, brother. Good to talk to you.
Sweet. Yeah, it was great to talk to you, too. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too, man. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Bye. Everybody, thank you so much for listening to that interview. That was such a fun one to do with Dan. He was awesome to talk to, but other than that, please go ahead and like and subscribe to the video. And yeah, you guys have a great rest of your day.